Hey YouTube, welcome to today's project. We have here an electric pressure washer. It's a Karcher model 395 and I really like it. I like the electric ones. We don't use it a whole lot, so it has plenty of power for what we need, and there's no gas, and the things you use once a year or whatever, the gas motors you always have to fiddle fart around with to get them going. So let's just plug in and go. Well, I took it out this year and it wouldn't turn off. So it was on all the time. You first plug it in and it turns on, it builds up pressure, stays on, the pump overpressure kicks in, and it's just not a great thing. The pump running all the time is bad on the pump and wastes energy and all that stuff. So what we're gonna do is take it apart and find out what's going on. It's pretty simple really, and I think this might apply to a lot of electric power washers. They're all fairly similar, I think. So here we go. So the first step is to make sure you have control of the plug. You don't want to be working on this thing while somebody, it's quite a long cord, somebody could plug it in on you if you weren't aware. So make sure you have control of this. Put it under your seat or under your leg or whatever, just for safety's sake. So the first step is going to be removing the handle. I'll take the soap hose out. And there's 4 Phillips head screws holding the handle on. Two on this side and 2 on the other side. Of course, keep track of screws. Okay, and lifts right off. Super simple. Okay, next step is to flip this over. I'm going to put a blanket down so it doesn't get scratched up. So I have, of course, a pink monkey blanket. A blue monkey blanket would be just fine, but just make sure it's a monkey blanket. And these are going to be T15s. There's 6 of them, and it's kind of a long ways down there, so either need a long extension like I have, or a longer screwdriver. And you can leave the screws down in those holes. This won't be flipped over, you're not going to lose them. The last 2 right here. And it should lift right off, and then just kind of guide out through here over that hose port. And then this will lift off, the power cord comes off, and the little hose you can take off from there. You have your motor and pump assembly and the control unit inside this yellow, or this white box up here. So these, just pop these tabs off, and then it shows your switches in here. So this is your on-off switch, and this is an overload breaker. So this is a switch. If it's stuck on, the contacts are welded together internally. If it won't turn on, then this is probably the same switch assembly. That's the problem. And I'll also show you, this is a little bit complicated, the way this turns. It has this little lever sticking down here. And that is for this, which is the over pressure. So if you let off of the handle that the water comes out of, this will build pressure, it'll turn the pump off. So that reacts on this, which turns that switch off. So here's the new switch. I bought it on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description. I think it was like 12 or 15 bucks or something like that, but certainly worth putting into the pressure washer like this. They're they're worth saving. So all you have to do is pull this out and all that. Then you just want to take a picture, watch this video, make sure that all the wires, when you take them out, you put them back in the same way. And this switch can go in that way or that way, it really doesn't matter. Let's do one at a time. And it's that easy. You just have to slide everything back in where it came from. Wires have a certain place they want to be, but when you're done, you want to look like that. And then just drop this back in place. Make sure that this is on the back side of that little plunger deal. And all 4 tabs snap in. It's off, on. Seems okay, so we'll go ahead and put her back together. Put those back on. Make sure your hose is not kinked. Coming through there. On off switch. It's in the right position. The electrical cord. Let's make sure it goes in the right spot there. Drop this on. And this still has all your screws in it. Okay, looks like we're all lined up. Run the screws in. In plastic, I always like to run the screws backwards until the threads engage, and then run them in forwards. And then you just flip it over. Okay, then we can put the handle back on. That, I'll just put the hose back on in the tank. And we'll hook up the water hose and the pressure hose, and we'll give her a test. Okay, so we got her some power to it, and we got some water to it. That's not turned on. Turn it on, it builds pressure and stops. So that's how it should function. It should shut off when So here's a little bonus post-mortem on the switch. This is the old one, the one that the contacts were welded together. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up very carefully. It's pretty delicate, so I'm going to use a knife. Be super careful when you're doing this, but there's a couple tabs, one on each side. Just kind of lift it up, and if you can keep it on there. And this one, same. And then the switch comes apart. And here's the contacts I was talking about. These little contacts, you can see how corroded that is. Right in there, and I did have this apart and cleaned it. What happens is those contact the contacts like down in there, and after a while with that current, that it's switching, it'll actually melt the electrodes and they'll just stay stuck together, and there's no way to release it unless you take the switch apart or replace it. So that's really what's going on with these. Pretty minor problem to have. Like I say, I've had this for probably 15 or 20 years, this pressure washer, and it's the first time this has happened, so it's worth putting a new switch in.